Hello. How is everyone tonight? We're having a little bit of technical difficulty, so she's going to try logging into her computer. And if all else fails, I will just call her on the phone. We're having a really bad echo. I know when Incog did an interview with her, it was the same kind of thing. And so I want to try to fix it from the start. So she'll just be a few minutes, and I figured we would just go ahead and start with a little introduction on the case and go from there. So I want to say hi to some people. Hey, Crime. Hey, Monica. How are you? Reach into my soul and pull it. It won't hurt. Hello. I hope KK gets to feeling better. Tell her I said get well soon and to send me her wish list. I'm still waiting on it and I haven't forgotten. Hey, Hoosier, how are you? Shanda. Kaleidoscope of Crime and Taffy. Hey, Nick. Glad you're here. Lake, hello. Okay, so I'm going to start with just a news article and a clip that I found. And then we're going to kind of so I'll give you kind of an overview of Jo Tate. And then we will dig in really deep with Donna here in a little bit.
There are hundreds of active missing person cases in Indiana, and we all remember the case of baby Amaya. She disappeared back in March 2019 when she was just 8 months old. We also recently reported on the case of Chanel Gilbert, a mother of two who disappeared in June, and 33-year-old Jamie Tate, who has been missing for 6 weeks. Indiana, and we all remember the case of baby Amaya. She disappeared back in March 2019 when she was just 8 months old. We also recently reported on the case of Chanel Gilbert, a mother of two who disappeared in June, and 33-year-old Jamie Tate, who has been missing for 6 weeks. Tonight, we are getting an exclusive look inside the missing persons unit that investigates these cases. Fox 59's Darius Johnson sat down with those leading the search for Jamie Tate to learn about that investigation, their tactics, and how you can help.
Nearly 2 months since 33-year-old Jamie Tate was last seen at her home on North Bellevue Place on the near west side. Her family says this isn't like her.
We believe that foul play may be involved.
Detective James Burton is working the case. They've executed search warrants and spoken to persons of interest. He says the tips make her case even more suspicious.
With the witness observing her arguing with the individual and being dragged into the house and then not being seen or heard from since is what makes her case suspicious.
This is where police say that happened in the 500 block of South Warman. Neighbors in this area tell me off camera that detectives have gone from door to door searching for Jamie. Have you seen this woman in your area? No. The missing persons unit is a 5-person team working about 300 cases a month. Every case is different and some are more challenging, like those involving runaways, and
we believe foul play is involved, but people aren't coming forward necessarily with the best information.
Like Jamie's case, there's no paper trail of calls or text messages for investigators to follow, making this case even harder to crack.
There's a couple of theories of why Jamie has went missing. And like I said, we've interviewed multiple persons of interest.
For now, a piece of paper hangs with a photo to remind you that Jamie hasn't made it home.
Just a reminder that you can stay anonymous, call our tip line. Any information, whether you think it means anything or not, could help us greatly locate these missing people.
On the Near West Side, I'm Darius Johnson, Fox 59 News.
Again, there are several persons of interest and others who are running from police. So if you have any information that can lead them to Jamie, someone involved in her disappearance, or any of the other missing persons cases, make that call. You can call Crime Stoppers. The number is 262-TIPS.
And we'll go ahead and look at her. You guys hear me okay? Well, hopefully the sound is okay. So this says that she has been missing since July 30th of 2020. Missing from Indianapolis, Indiana. This is the Charley Project. She's endangered missing, female, white. She was born on June 18th of 1987. She's 35 now. She was 33 at the time of her disappearance. She's 5'6" and between 100 and 140 pounds. Tate has a history of substance abuse. She also suffers from mental health problems, including post-traumatic stress disorder. Distinguishing characteristics. Caucasian female, brown hair, blue eyes. Tate has a tattoo on her wrist of a red ribbon with the name Alma Tate Pullen. I think it says Alta. And years 1937 to 2011. And a tattoo of the words "Why Hope" in a V shape on her upper chest. Photos of the tattoos are posted with this case summary. She also has these tattoos, the words West Side 50 behind her left ear, a tribal design on her lower back, a large rose on her lower leg with the name Bob underneath, and a cartoon devil on top of her right foot at the time of her disappearance. Her hair was dyed pink at the ends. So if you remember seeing anyone matching that description or with those tattoos in 2020, please send your tip in to 317-327-6160. And here are some details they have. Tate was last seen in Indianapolis, Indiana on August 1st of 2020. She was heard outside a residence in the 500 block of South Warman arguing with her ex-boyfriend, Robert Owen Sorrells Jr. in the early morning hours. He dragged her into the residence and she has never been heard from again. Her relationship with Sorrells was very troubled and he had been harassing and stalking her. While investigating Tate's disappearance, authorities learned that between 3 and 4 on July 31st, just hours before her disappearance, someone driving a blue car tried to run her over in the 3800 block of West Washington Street. She had also allegedly witnessed a murder, and someone may have wanted to silence her as a result. Foul play is suspected in Tate's case, which remains unsolved. And then while we're waiting on Miss Donna, I figured we could take a look at this, which is just very sad. Lots of these are in the Indianapolis metropolitan area. And the list just keeps going and going and going. These are all missing in Indiana. Probably not all. Because I don't think this includes 2022. I am doing this on purpose. I'm going super slow just so that you can really grasp the gravity of how many missing persons are out there. We're only to the F's. All of these people have someone out there that is missing them. Made it to the M's. So sad. And now, as you can see, Jamie Jo Tate is on here, Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department. They do have it as July 30th of 2020. And yeah, this keeps on going and going. This breaks my heart. This is her NamUs case file here. And it's kind of sparse on information. Missing person last seen on July 30th, arguing with a known male outside of a residence in the 500 block of South Warman. And they don't have very many. They do have her tattoos here, as you can see. I have them bigger in a slideshow I'll show later. And then it does have Detective James Burton. The number again is 317-327-6160. And the case number is IP 20078800. And I personally really love NamUs because you can see how I'm tracking this case. And you can also do your own comparisons in unidentified just in case. So I would just 14,088 possible results, but I haven't entered any information. So what I typically do is put in here of like, okay, so we know it was, we'll just go ahead and put July 30th just in case, or 29th, 2020. And then August, and it's the 1st of 2022. And then you want to enter the state. So in Indiana, we have 5 possible results. And none of those are a match to Jamie. Okay, I think I heard the bell. Let's go back and see if we can add her and see how it works. Hello, Miss Donna. How are you? Can you hear me?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well.
I can hear you just fine. Can you hear me? Good.
Yeah, I think the echo might work itself out. How is it for you guys? Is there a lot of back feedback and echoing in the chat? We'll let them. There's a little bit of a delay between StreamYard and YouTube, so we'll see. Oh, awesome. Thank you, Aerostarch. Became a member. That was very cool. Grandma Sherry, hello. Lighting the way home for the band. Hello. David, hello. Yeah, it does have some echo. How about I just try calling you? Is that okay with you? Are you there? Hello? Hello? I'm going to try calling you. She's frozen. I'm just going to call you on your phone. If you can hear me. See, her other phone worked really well, except for I was hearing myself twice, and it was just as loud as the first time I said it. I don't think so, Kaleidoscope. I'm going to go ahead and remove you if you can hear me, Miss Donna, and then I'm going to call you on my cell phone, okay?
Hello.
Hi. How are you
Any
doing?
better?
Much better.
Good.
Can you guys hear her okay in the chat? Can you let me know before we get started? I have her right next to my microphone. Hi, Chris. I think we're getting some thumbs up. All right, here we go.
Okay, good.
So how are you today?
I'm okay, considering.
You've had a busy day.
Well, 2 years ago today was the
Right.
last time that I laid eyes on Jamie, and it was about 11:45.
Oh.
As I was telling Detective Burton in my email earlier that, about 11:45 tonight, it will be 2 years since I laid eyes on my baby girl, and I wanted to know if there was an update or anything, and he did give me an update. They have some new information coming in that has not been reported as of yet, and he assured me that they would be working on this new information.
Awesome.
And that she is not I had asked him several questions, like kind of in the middle of my meltdown, sometime between when I spoke to you first time and now, about that, is she a cold case, and what else can we as a family do to help you, to help us find out what really happened to her? We only want the truth, no matter how painful. At this point, we've heard so many things, and it's like we go out there and we look for her when we get these leads, and we mourn her each and every time. So at this point, we just really want the truth.
Right.
So, but I feel reassured. I'm so grateful.
I bet.
I do believe him when he says that they're working on it, that she's not a cold case. That they still get calls very frequently with new information, quite often.
Mhm.
I asked him what else we could do, and he said podcasts are good. I told him about that I had decided to do some podcasts and
Okay.
get her name out there in the public. And did IMPD have like an official update? And he will speak to his supervisor about seeing if they want to put out a news release or do something with the news.
Okay.
Or whatever,
That would
as
be
far as an
cool.
official update. But that's the update that he gave me
Okay.
via email. So I'm kind of a little bit reassured again.
I bet. Yeah.
Um,
So that's exciting. That kind
Yeah,
of renews
I'm
hope.
very hopeful.
I know it
um,
can be stressful
It's also
though.
been pretty frustrating, as you
I
know.
bet. Yes, I do. Well, I mean, just through you've been so generous to share information, and and that's really what it takes, is just like, I know you watched my episodes with Miss Denise Allen, Charles Warbath's mother.
Oh, that was one of my favorite ones. And I wanted
Yeah.
to tell you, Mel, you did such a good job. And I know you took so much time
Mm-hmm.
reaching out to her and listening about how he was. And I really loved your presentation on that one. I think that's my favorite one of yours so far.
Oh, well, good, because that's what we're going to do tonight. So I'm going to start with
Good,
my
good.
questions. We're going to kind of backtrack, and we're going to get to know Jamie.
Okay.
I have just some, questions. I know she was born on June 18th of 1987 to yourself and her father, James. She
Yeah.
was the youngest of 4 and on her mother's side. So Robert, Crystal, Joshua, and Jamie. And she was the
Yeah.
youngest of 3 siblings on her father's side, along with 2 stepbrothers, James,
Yeah.
Trish, Ruby, Jamie, TJ, and Dustin.
Absolutely.
So
And the
lots of
youngest of all of them
siblings.
too.
Was she
So
really?
She was our baby all the way around. She got very baby everywhere.
Aw.
Her dad's mother, her grandmother Alta, who she has the tattoo
Mm-hmm.
on her left wrist, I believe it's a cancer awareness ribbon, and that was in memory of her grandmother Alta May Tate Poland. And her name is over that tattoo, and that was like her favorite person in the whole world.
Aw.
That's her grandmother Alta, who we were so blessed that she spent so much time and effort on, she just took Jamie under her little wing, and Jamie was just inseparable with her. So that was like her favorite person.
Yeah.
She was a daddy's girl too, but her grandma Alta, I mean, none of us could compare to her relationship with her grandmother Alta.
Yeah. So what was she like when how was your pregnancy? How did you find out you were pregnant with her, and like, what was it like? Was it a good pregnancy, tough pregnancy?
It was very easy compared to my others. And her labor was only 18 hours, and that was like a walk in the park. The others were like 72.
Oh, wow.
Extremely long labor. So with her, yeah, it seemed like it was so easy. I felt good. I felt healthy. I felt healthy, though, with all of my pregnancies, I guess. I always said that was kind of the best time, that I ever felt.
Yeah.
And yeah, she was a normal delivery.
Good.
In fact, when I went into labor with her, I was deep cleaning my kitchen, and I wanted to, everybody was there, and they're all trying to rush me, and her grandpa Jerry came running up the steps, and he's like, come on, let's go. I said, well, wait a minute. I had my refrigerator out cleaning behind it, and I had to push it back up, and he's like, no. You can't do that. Jimmy said, get you to the hospital right now, and he's on his way.
Wow.
Because her dad was at work, of course. So we went, and like I said, 18 hours, which was a piece of cake compared to the others. She was always kind of shy, and we did all baby her, we couldn't help it. She was absolutely adorable. So I'm sure that she probably got favored a lot in her dad's household as well.
Mm-hmm.
She was the youngest one there too. So she got a lot of attention, but
yeah,
it was, like I said, kind of shy and just sweet as could be. Daddy's girl.
Okay.
Hold on. Nan, I'll talk to you in just a minute, okay? Go in there with mommy and daddy. Sorry, that was my grandson.
Oh,
He's
that's
home.
okay. That's okay.
His name is Phoenix. He's 4.
Oh, I love that name.
And he loves his Aunt Jamie. I've got
Oh,
a pillow with her picture on it. She's blowing kisses, and a
Mhm.
blanket the same way with the
oh,
picture with the hat and her, blowing the kisses.
That's
So
cute.
him being the youngest, I worried about him forgetting about her. So I sleep with this pillow and blanket, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes if he doesn't want to go to his room, I'll tell him, here, I'll let you take Aunt Jamie.
Oh,
So he
that
knows.
helps.
I mean, you point to the picture, who is that? That's my Aunt Jamie.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, he's a sweet little boy.
Do you have any memories
he
of
was kind
her?
of like that. Her older brother was talking about one time when she came to his room and knocked on the door and asked him for help. And he had brought a girlfriend to the house. And he asked her, well, what do you need? And she's like, Bobby, I got these frogs in my pocket.
Oh,
She had caught frogs, and she said, and they went to the laundry room, and she goes, my mommy's going to be mad.
oh,
He was up in the middle of the night helping her catch, like, I don't know, a handful of frogs, little bitty frogs that she put in her pocket.
oh.
And I think maybe I really might have seen 1 or 2 the next day. And of course I screamed and stuff.
I
But
bet.
yeah, she was really funny.
Oh,
Just adorable. I mean, she just always so sweet
yeah.
and always the nurturer, the protector. Even though she was the youngest, she just had a heart of gold. Couldn't
Oh,
stand to see anybody sad or upset. Always had to comfort
yeah.
and so protective.
My daughter was like that when she was younger, and then she kind of changed a little bit. Like she became more, I guess maybe learned how to balance it a little bit better to where she wasn't giving too much of herself. But when she was little, she sounds a lot like Jamie. What was she like as a
Jamie would have
teen?
learned to balance more because unfortunately she took that good heart
Yeah.
and trying to be negative, but she was a little bit naive.
Mm.
And she would try to, when she met all these doper people that she got involved with, she just, everybody, she believed everything they said. It didn't matter if they robbed her and beat her the day before. All they had to do was say, I'm sorry, Jamie.
Yeah.
And she was so naive. And I got on to her about that the last time I seen her. About, Jamie, people don't care about us like you think they do. And these people are not your friends.
Right. Yeah. Was she a fixer by nature? Like she wanted to help people like by fixing them and thinking that.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Everything and everybody she could. And she would get involved in everything. It didn't matter. She always told me she was like me, but in that area, but I'm a little bit, I used to be that way, I suppose, but I'm a little bit different now.
Yeah.
And especially now that this stuff with her has happened, I'm so different in that I don't trust anyone anymore if they're not mine. I just have so many trust issues, and
I bet. I'm sure.
And I'm trying to fight, struggle with the bitterness and
Mm-hmm.
still praying that something positive will come out of this horrible thing that's happened.
So do you have any funny or heartwarming memories of her as a teen, and like what was her friend group like, her relationship with her siblings?
As a teenager, she had co-written a little poem for Martin Luther King Day with one of her little girlfriends.
That's awesome.
Yes, and they won an award. They won, like, I don't know, 4th place maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Had a little dance, and she never did like dresses really. She was always kind of, she was a daddy's girl, but she was always kind of a tomboy too.
Yeah.
Totally opposite from my other daughter, Crystal, who was more a feminine, species. And Jamie just, she was just always, she wanted to hunt and fish and do what her daddy did. And she, she didn't want to be no girl, and she didn't want to wear a dress. And
yeah.
So she was she's very much a tomboy.
I was too.
And yeah, So that was a good memory with the dance because they won the award for Martin Luther King Day, and they co-wrote this awesome little poem that just made me cry about peace in the streets and about racial inequity. And it was just so awesome. I wish I could find her little trophy and a copy of that poem.
Yeah.
But over the years, we've kind of misplaced it. She took it from her dad's, I believe, and then it kind of just moved around with her, and I have no clue where it is now.
Mm-hmm.
It was really awesome. I would so like to keep that.
Yeah, those are the memories we hold on to and look back on fondly. Yes,
and seeing her in a dress, that was pretty awesome because that was her tomboy phase, and she didn't like dresses. She didn't ever like, being prissy or feminine or.
I didn't either. I hated it. I even had the mullet to prove it.
So I kind of get that in that she was like that.
Yeah.
And I like that about her, but she, she still was very much a girly girl too.
Yes. Yeah, same. So what, you guys lived in the same area her whole childhood and adult life, is that correct?
I'm sorry. Part of what you said, I missed out on, Mel.
Have you guys lived in the same area there where she ended up disappearing from her whole life?
We did, and then we moved out to Drexel Gardens, and then we moved back into the area.
Mm-hmm.
I think the last time I moved back, it was 2008, and I moved home to take care of my mother, who was terminally ill. My dad at that point had already passed away, and I left her home shortly. I stayed and helped with him as well with hospice.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a dialysis tech at that time at Fresenius Medical. So I moved down by Lake Cataract, and then I moved back into the area, but not quite in the middle of that area, but close. And then I went back there to my parents' home at 62 North Bellevue.
Okay.
And I went there in 2008, Halloween night. My mother, we almost lost her, and she was in it actually wasn't a wreck because she pulled over, but she was very ill and hospitalized. And so I went home to help take care of her in 2008.
Mm-hmm.
And we ended up losing my younger brother, who was kind of my favorite person in the whole world other than my kids. Lost him in December of 2009. And then my older brother in, I think, 2017. And then my mother in 2018. And all of those people were on hospice and end of life. And I kind of got caught up in caretaking.
Yeah.
Since I had a little bit of medical training, CNA, nursing school dropout, never made it through nursing school, but attempted to, and then a dialysis tech, which was really, really awesome. I liked that very much.
Yeah, well, that's cool.
Kind of got into that, and so that's how we ended up back in the neighborhood the last time.
Gotcha. And then when did things start to, you started to see a change in Jamie? I know that we've talked about her, she did have some substance abuse, and then the Charley Project I just read said she had some like PTSD. Is that correct?
Yes.
When did those kinds of things start rearing their head?
Probably really acutely. I mean, I'm sure she must have had some problems for a long time.
Okay.
But probably the addiction, the substance abuse, probably in about 2017 is when I kind of started noticing.
So not too long.
Little changes in her, but she got about 90 days or so before she disappeared. She got really different, became more withdrawn, where she was always kind of happy-go-lucky.
Okay.
And you would go to hug her, and she would, just not like jump up in her bubbly, usual self. She would kind of almost like she was just restraining herself.
And this was about 90 days before she disappeared?
I believe it was about 30 to 90, just roughly.
Okay.
Looking back, I kind of noticed it more Actually, when we all talked about it, she always loved the attention. She would always, want like birthday celebrations and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And she would tease me if I didn't have time because of the younger kids. And she'd say, well, I'm supposed to be your baby.
You're right.
Her
Aww.
last birthday, we planned a birthday party for her that was going to be a surprise.
Okay.
And we got surprised because she didn't show up.
Oh.
And that was very unusual for her because I'd asked her if I could have a cookout just with me and her and let her invite some people. And she had already said, yeah. So she kind of already knew, but she didn't know it was like a surprise birthday party with all her brothers and sisters and
Right.
that kind of stuff. And I told her it'll be really low key, just I'll make your favorite meal. I'll bake you a little cake, we'll just real tiny.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got surprised because she didn't show up, which kind of was like one of the first big red flags that, something's not right with her.
I see.
And that was June 18th
Okay.
of 2020. But then a couple of days later, and this is another funny memory, if I may share this with you.
Absolutely.
A
Absolutely.
couple of days later, I told her, since I made her a whole platter of deviled eggs, which is her favorite, so that was to be hers. So she had the whole platter to herself. We went ahead and I eventually sent her a text that we're going to go ahead and eat. I'm even going to cut your little birthday cake if that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And she didn't respond, so we did because my grandchildren, of course, wanted cake.
Mm-hmm.
But there was still like a little layer for her, the top little layer, and her little plate of deviled eggs. So a couple of days later, I'm telling her, well, Jamie, since you missed your birthday party, I was going to take you out to eat. Where do you want to go?
Mm-hmm.
So she wanted to go to Fazoli's, and I wanted to go to this little, it's a Latino torta shop that's right around the corner from where we lived. It was actually over on Michigan and Holmes.
Okay.
And we had the best little sandwiches. So that's where I kind of wanted to go because I didn't have to drive.
Right.
And we could walk, and I liked getting out and walking. But she wanted Fazoli's. So we get in my truck to go to Fazoli's, and we pull into the station on the corner, and I tell her, I've got a slow leak. I need to put some air in my tire. And of course, she's trying to be sweet, and she's like, no, Mommy, you sit in the truck. I'll get it. And it was the tire that was closest to my driver's side up front.
Mm-hmm.
And she's sitting there. I've got the window down. In fact, I just rolled the window down. I was getting ready to tell her, Jamie, I never put that much air in it. I think we're good. And she blew the tire out, so it goes pop. And she threw herself back.
Oh, no.
She did shot. And it scared her to death. And I kept laughing, and her eyes were so wide. She had the most gorgeous big blue eyes. And her eyes were so wide. And she's like, why are you laughing at me? And I said, Jamie, because look at your face. And she did. It was look on her face that was absolutely hilarious. And it was loud.
Yeah.
And she said, what are we going to do now? I said, well, I think that I get my way. I'm going to hurry and park this down there in front of the house. And because it was almost completely flat by then.
Oh, gosh.
I couldn't stop laughing. So I backed my truck back down halfway down the block and pulled it over and parked it. And then we walked to the torta shop.
Oh, that was your plan all along, right?
It was so funny. I will never forget that, the way that she just threw herself back. And it was loud.
Yeah, I bet that was scary.
And all I could do was laugh. So we got a good laugh out of that. But
That's
that
fun.
was her birthday dinner. That I told her, it may be your birthday, but I get my way this time.
Yes, you did.
We get to go to the tourist shop whether you like it or not, because I don't have a spare tire.
And then you had to pay for a new tire.
I did, and she was so worried about it, and I kept laughing.
That's a great memory. I'm glad you have that.
Aren't you mad? And no, why would I be mad? But I said, honey, I was just getting ready to tell you that I thought that was a little, that's as much as time as I ever spend putting air in it. But yeah, it was so funny.
She just
Even
kept
though I
on
had to buy a
going.
new tire and everything, it was just one of those moments.
That's great. When did she meet this Robert Sorrells character?
To the best of my knowledge, about a year before.
Oh, wow.
I think she'd only known him about a year.
Mm-hmm.
And he dates her friend Teresa Kidwell now, who actually, he said that I guess he was with Teresa years ago, And so they were kind of on first, and then Teresa wasn't having anything to do with him or something. And I don't know exactly where or how he met Jamie, but he just wasn't good for her from the start.
Yeah.
I even let him come into my home just because I was trying to draw her in to get her back into treatment at the Koala Center again and try to, get her. I was kind of trying to drag her, instead of push her away with tough love. I was kind of I tried everything.
Yeah.
But at that time, drawing her in, so I let him come in with her.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, he treated her really badly, even in front of me. God knows how he treated her when I wasn't around.
Right.
And it didn't end well. I ended up telling him to get out, and she left with him. Defended him. He actually refused to leave my house. I pulled my 12 gauge out.
Oh,
and
wow.
to be honest, I really would have shot him, but she stood in front of him and my gun.
Yeah.
Because he wouldn't leave my house. He was so defiant.
Wow.
And she, of course, defended him and left with him, and he blacked her eyes and broke her nose, blacked both of her eyes the same night.
Wow.
Shortly after they left my home.
It's awful.
And she tried to hide it from me. She wore sunglasses and tried to avoid me for a couple of days. And she would walk past my house from the neighbors down the street where she hung out and walk on the opposite side of the street with these sunglasses on. And, of course, Sherry, the neighbor, had already told me about her eyes. And then finally, I couldn't handle it anymore. I called her across the street and I said, Jamie, you might as well. I said, I'm sorry about how things ended. I want you to understand that you're always welcome here. This is your home. And we are your family and we love you very much, but it's not a package deal. We do not have to accept him. And I told her I can't deal with that. You're welcome here anytime, night or day. I want you to know that. But don't bring him here ever.
Right.
Under any circumstances, he is never going to be welcome. And I said, and I already heard about your black eye. And she had lied and told me that, no, Mommy, I was jumped by some girls at a bar on the east side.
Oh, wow.
And I just said, well, that's not what I think. And that's not what I believe. But it's your lie. You tell it any way you want to. And I still love you. But I told her, I want you to know that, anything you need, night or day, you come here, but don't bring him.
Right. Yeah. No. So you kind of knew you had his number from the get-go. Sounds like.
I did. I mean, I'm a pretty good judge of character. And to this day, he can be anywhere where I can see him or I know he's near. And honestly, I'm not exaggerating. You can look at my arms and like the hair on my arms stand up.
Oh, wow.
I don't even know how to describe it. He makes my skin crawl. I don't even want him breathing the air that I breathe. And it's just my, it's my mother's instinct. I don't know what it is, but I know in my heart that he was very abusive to her. I have heard that he murdered somebody else and she knew, and that's what she had against him. And she was trying to get out of the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And that he knew she was finally done with him. So all the rumors show that he either set her up and or participated in her demise. And I firmly, with everything in me, believe that.
Yeah. Wow.
But, he may not have been the one to actually do the killing of her.
Mm-hmm.
But nothing at this point would surprise me where he's concerned. But I do feel he is more than capable of it, and that I know he's responsible.
Yeah.
And the feeling I just can't shake.
I was been looking at just kind of as you're talking, just kind of letting everyone look at the area there. Okay, so now we're going to move on to April 25th of 2020. You kind of touched on it. Blake Bernal was
Yes, Lakewood Drive.
allegedly murdered, and it was a hot shot, which is a purposeful overdose administered. And you correct me if I'm wrong, but that was in his spine.
I heard from his sister, Laura Ann,
Okay.
that that it was a hot shot. Something about in his spine or she said his back, but
Wow.
That's a place where, and he did struggle with substance abuse too.
Yes.
And he had some other problems, he grew up in the house next door to the first house I bought,
Mm-hmm.
which was next door to my parents, and he was like on the other side of my parents' house. So
Okay.
I didn't know him really well
Mm-hmm.
from just when he was a child. But anytime he was in trouble, he would come to my house and knock on the door like late at night.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple times, people were after him, he said, and I always called either IMPD or an ambulance for him. And most of the time he was happy to get in the ambulance.
Oh.
But he would tell me, like, sometimes he would recognize me, and all the kids in that area call me Aunt Donna. So just for most of them were kids, when I was growing up.
Right.
And those in mine, and they kind of spent a lot of time in our house. So he, sometimes he would remember me, and he would say, "You're my Aunt Donna, aren't you?" And they would say, "Are you his aunt?" And I just shake my head no at him, but I tell him, "Yeah, I'm your Aunt Donna." And get in this ambulance.
That's
so
sweet.
he did struggle with substance abuse issues too, and ran with the same people that Jamie was with towards the end.
Okay.
And what his sister said had happened was that he was jumped and beaten, and yes, that he was given a hot shot. And Jamie went into one of the houses, not the one where they found his actual body, but a house nearby that's burnt down now.
Mm-hmm.
And he recovered a pair of, they had posted him nude apparently. And Jamie had acquired the shoes, gotten the shoes somehow, spoke to someone who was there. Still have a lot of unanswered questions about how exactly she got the shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Because she hadn't told me yet. When she brought him in,
Right.
she just asked me to return him to his mother. She took $5 out of her own pocket and put it in the pocket of the shoes. Because they were trying to raise money to have a service for him. And when she came in, I was crying, and she wanted to know what was wrong. And I told her, I'm just, my first thought was, I was so relieved it wasn't you because you're running with the same crowd. And, at first it was tears of relief and thankfulness. And then the how horribly he was done, then that hit me. And then I was really sad. And I had been telling her about how he was found and stuff, when she left. And she looked very surprised. So I don't believe she knew before she came home.
Okay. And then where was this, where all of this was supposed to have occurred to Blake?
It was on North Belmont. And there were two different addresses, and I was going to look through my notes and confirm so I could tell you correctly. But I didn't have a chance to do that today. I've kind of been out of sorts, and it's because of this time 2 years ago. So I've kind of tried to stay busy, but just, how it is. Sometimes you have those bad days and everything just kind of just really hits you. But I'm trying to work through it the best I can. It was there were two addresses, 110 and 115 North Belmont Avenue.
Okay.
And his body was actually found at one of those addresses. And the other house was a house she had went into. It was, they call them bandos, and they are abandoned properties.
Okay.
And these homeless people, street people, drug dealers, thugs, they all take up residence in these bandos.
Okay.
And then they do who knows what, and then they burn it down when they leave so that all the evidence is destroyed.
Oh, wow.
And that is like a very common thing in that area. It happens. I'm sure there's abandoned houses and properties in every area, but over in that area, it has just gotten so bad. that it's just horrible. I mean, they're everywhere. And the houses look boarded up, and they take their little screw guns, and they'll have a little screw that holds the plyboard in place so it still looks boarded like the state had it. And then they just, they go in and out as they please and do whatever. Some of them even have, I don't know how they manage that, but some of them even have partial power, like where there's a lot of wires hanging out of the fuse box.
Okay.
So they must have like somebody who has some basic type of electrical engineering abilities to
work
do
really
that.
hard to live for free, huh?
Yes.
I wanted to pause you real quick because I just pulled up the 110 North Belmont, and isn't that close to where you lived? Like, it's on.
Well, no, because I was at 62 North Bellevue Place, and it's like about 5 blocks away, and then 2 blocks south. I was at 62 North Bellevue Place, and then there is Holmes, Tremont, Mount.
Okay.
Persian. Yeah, it's about 5 blocks.
Well,
going east towards downtown.
For some reason, I have 30 or 32 North Belmont with a Robert McDonald. There's a video of Jamie.
So that's my neighbor that lives on Bellevue. That was
so not Belmont.
McDaniel.
I got that wrong. Okay.
Which was a place where Jamie hung out quite a bit. And I believe it was on his front porch that she made her last Facebook message post about, I think about 2:55 a.m. on the 31st, which technically may have been the 1st.
Okay.
And I haven't been able to access any of her telephone records. So whatever, I signed a release for IMPD, so I know since I signed the release on everything, I know they have, they had her phone records, access to them. But I don't have that information. I don't know if they uncovered any evidence on that or not.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm just showing everyone kind of the map of like the area. I know you can't see it, but so really the 110 North Belmont, if that is near, or 100 North Belmont, I mean, it's pretty much
it's like 5 blocks away on the same block. And
yeah.
I think maybe 110 is where they found him, and 115 maybe, no, you know what? I'm thinking they found him maybe at 115, and 110 is the address that she went into the house and found the shoes. Anyhow, she had even tagged the wall with like a marker, and she had written this note on the wall, which I have pictures of, and IMPD have pictures of as well.
Right. And then the home on 508 South Warman, that was where a witness had said that they thought that she was seen being dragged into. Is that do you feel like that's credible?
I believe that one of the witnesses was not credible, who said that they were arguing in the backyard, and she allegedly had told him to take it in the house.
Right.
That would be an Ashley Smotherman, but I think later on she retracted and said it wasn't at that time. So I kind of doubt the validity of what she said.
Okay.
But there was a neighbor, I guess, apparently on the corner, who they've safely moved out of there now.
Oh, good.
So I would say they had some other information.
Gotcha.
About
and they were across the street,
putting his hands on her and pulling her into the house. And they've since moved away almost immediately after that happened to her. But they did hear some things.
And he was just kind of squatting in that house.
Yes, he
Okay.
wasn't even really legally there.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time a friend of ours had gotten that address for me, and you know him, it's Tim. And
Okay.
so when he came and told me that he had the address, I had first tried to call IMPD then to tell them that the main suspect in her disappearance, you know, he was seen at this house, and we believe he has her in there. Well, we had so much trouble getting them to go over there. They said at first that that was not a legitimate address. That was a business. So Tim I was hysterical. He walked me over there, and they still wouldn't come to that address.
Mm-hmm.
We got clarification, went back to my house at 62 North Bellevue, called them again. It took us like 5 tries. The last time we were over there, I said, I'm calling you from the corner. I'm sitting here looking at the front door. He did have the front door open. Now it's locked. And I believe that my daughter is in there hurt or possibly deceased. And so they did come out, but all they would do, I guess it's their policy. I don't know. I mean, I don't understand it. All they would do is knock on the door and no one answered. Therefore, they couldn't go in.
Mm.
So it kind of, there's a lot of policies with IMPD that I was very surprised about.
I think we can go in
when
though.
we got tips on her being in abandoned houses,
Mm-hmm.
and we got met with guns in a couple places, and
gosh.
we were in some really ugly places, particularly on the east side. A couple situations that we got into weren't real good ones.
Oh,
but
wow.
when we had no choice but to go in, because when we would give them, call 911 and turn that in, they would come out, but they won't go into abandoned properties unless they contact the homeowner.
I wanted to kind of backtrack.
And I understand they're abandoned properties. You can't see what's in there until you get in there.
Right. Yeah.
And they're all dilapidated and, structurally unsound.
Mm-hmm.
So you could fall through the floor. I mean, it would jeopardize our officers truly. But,
yes.
What do you do
but
when
if
there's crime and you report
citizens found something, then
and
they would go
they
in.
They can't go in, or, I mean, some of it I understand, but when it's your child,
you want to
who
go
may be in danger, it's really hard to understand some of these policies.
Right.
It was really frustrating.
And I do think, like, as a citizen, it's probably not the best, but for law enforcement, to go in without a warrant or without permission, that's a big no-no and lawsuits and everything. But if, say, we did that and
might
we
get sued for that, but
right,
I think it's because they're structurally unsound.
But if we found something in there, they would definitely go in and secure the scene. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I wanted to kind of ask a few more questions before we move on from Blake. Do you think that, she came home, you said she came home all banged up. This happened in April of 2020, and she had his shoes. And, do you think that this could be why you saw a change in her? Maybe she was really affected and really torn about coming forward with this information.
Yes.
Okay.
I do. I mean, she definitely knew what happened to Blake. And I'm not going to mention his name because he hasn't ever been charged with anything or legally made a suspect. But
gotcha.
There's a person of interest who Jamie actually confronted him. He wasn't the first prior to that incident with Blake.
Right.
I've seen her arguments on her Facebook Messenger, and his and her both their voice clippings. He was known to have allegedly tried to run her over a few times, and had allegedly, according to Laura Bernal, made threats of, I believe she said something to me like he had threatened to shoot my Jamie in the head on Facebook Live.
Mm-hmm.
And she had called me, Laura Ann Bernal, and even told me that I told Blake's detective, and now I'm calling you, and in case for when something happens to Jamie was how she said it.
Mm-hmm.
When something, I tried to prevent it. She said that she would talk to Blake's detective
Right.
about this person who had threatened Jamie. And they didn't take her seriously. They wouldn't do anything about it or whatever. And she said, so, when something happens to Jamie, you'll know what's going on.
Oh.
And I was just like shocked. So I was immediately calling Jamie's phone and Jamie, what is going on? And she just kept saying, Mom, I can't tell you. You don't understand. I want to, I can't tell you.
Oh.
And the last night which would have been 2 years ago tonight that she left, I had told her that, we need to sit down and talk. And I said, early tomorrow, or, are you coming back? And she said, yes, I'm coming in sometime through the night. And I told her, okay, then wake me up and I'll let you in, because I had previously kept a key outside for her, but I had gotten to where I wasn't comfortable doing that anymore.
Right.
So I call and I will open the door for you, but tomorrow we need to talk, and it needs to be early in the day, because I was having some anxiety, more than my usual anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And I was telling her that, we need to telling her about the prospective deal I had on this property where she was going to have her own area.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
that I need to put you someplace safe for a couple months until this deal is closed and I'm all moved out, and then, I'll send for you.
Mm-hmm.
And, so she had agreed that, the next day that she and I were going to do a couple things. And, one of those things was we were going to talk, and I was going to get some honest questions answered from her about what she knew about Blake and, you know, how much danger she was in.
Gosh, and somebody stopped her.
I know now that she was lying to me,
to keep you safe.
I think she was doing it for my own good.
Oh, yes.
Trying to protect.
Okay, so I have a question, because someone attempted to run her over, and is this the same person that is a suspect, the one that we are not going to name?
It is one of them, yes.
Wow, did they drive a blue car? Well,
yes, this person had access to a blue car, but I don't know if that can be proven or not. And the address that's listed is kind of a different address because the lady had concerns about her own safety.
Gotcha.
She had moved in that area from North Belmont.
Okay.
Where Blake was given the hot shot.
Okay.
And so she was kind of well known.
Okay.
So she had given me a different address, but I found her totally by mistake. And so it was nice to meet with her and talk to her. And she showed me exactly in her front yard where Jamie was when this blue car ran up into her yard. And she said that she had asked her, I said, well, can I ask you why you didn't call 911 when you seen someone trying to run over her?
Right.
And she said, I offered to. And she said, I know Jamie from over there on Belmont. And she knew who I was immediately, just walking up into her yard. She came out immediately and never met her before now. But immediately she came out and embraced me. And by then I was already bawling like a kid, just crying.
Oh.
I've been waiting for you to find me.
Oh, wow.
And, well, you told us she was like 2 blocks, another direction.
Oh, okay. So
we found her by mistake, but it's amazing that,
yeah, absolutely.
That we did. And she said, I knew Jamie. And she said, I asked her, are you okay? And she said, Jamie said, I think so. And she said she picked up her bike. She was on a bicycle. And she picked up her bike, got on it, and went west on it and around the corner.
Okay. So was this, because I have it mapped out at the 3800 block of West Washington near Holt Road. Is that correct?
It's kind of near Holt Road, but it's not exactly 38. And I can't really recall the exact address right now, and I probably wouldn't put it out there anyway, just to make sure that
it kind of is an intersection that I have marked,
and a citizen. But I know
it's
how
just
to
an
reach her
intersection,
if I need to reach her.
And there's not. It's just businesses that I have marked. I don't have like a house marked or anything like that, for sure. But and then so this
I could show you
running over
confidentially, Mel.
incident.
I trust you. Just meeting you through Amy and stuff, and seeing you at the some of the events that I went to.
Yes, I was there at
stuff,
your
so
event for.
I can show you exactly where she is in confidence. I just
Okay, yeah.
I worry about people's identities, you know, when they're trying to help. I don't wish for anything bad to happen to anyone else.
No, absolutely not. And
Especially
it sounds like
someone that's
it's
decent
very.
and
It could
trying
happen.
to report, because so many people won't.
Right. Okay. And then let's trying to stay here on track here. So the timeline between April and July. So April of 2020, when Blake was murdered, through July, that's when you kind of really notice the significant changes in her personality.
Yes.
She just wasn't herself. Is there anything else that was significant?
She avoided us, and you couldn't engage her in conversation about anything except for the last night. And she became real excited when I told her that with the sale that I was taking a lot less money for the house on Bellevue, but with that money, I had a tentative deal where she would have some property that adjoined the property.
Right.
That's already in our family, and property that used to belong to my younger brother. So she was real excited about that she was going to be a property owner. And
I bet. And you were also getting ready to, like, you had found a treatment center for her as well, and she was willing to go.
So
now,
that was our goal as a family. My other kids and I had talked about it.
Right.
And what we were trying to do was to kind of, you know, get her first in a safe environment, then in treatment, and then find out, you know, what she knew. And I was going to encourage her to speak to law enforcement. Honestly, I wanted her to tell everything that she knew. I just wanted to make sure I could keep her safe first.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't know everything she knew. And what I'm finding out more and more, I can't believe she kept so much from us. And I know that it had to have been for our own good. That's the only way that she would not disclose some of the situations that she were in.
Oh, man. Just to keep you safe, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're moving on to the weeks before she disappeared, not the week of, just so 2 weeks before. What was going on in her life at that time? Were you guys close? Would she have taken off without ever getting in touch with you?
No.
Yeah. Because you guys were really close.
You know, she, like, I want to say the last week before, she had spent a few days. But actually, the week before that, she did too. She had came down and spent a few days. She was really scared, though, 2 weeks before.
Okay.
She was afraid that she was having nightmares, and I was asking her what was wrong with her.
Wow.
And she said, "Mommy, he's in the house. He's in the house. He's upstairs." And I kept saying, "Who?" And we call him something that's not very nice. I'm just going to say retard Rob, and that's not what we call him, but it's because of his substance abuse issues with methamphetamine and the way he acts. So people in my neighborhood know him as that.
Yeah. Okay.
So she said he was upstairs in the attic. And I had even taken my 380 and told her, you know, you stay here by the front door. If anything happens, run out the door. Get yourself to safety. I'll be okay. I got my gun. So I went upstairs and looked all through the upstairs, and even there was an old, like a hasp on the outside of the door upstairs. And I didn't have a padlock to put on it, but I took a screwdriver from my toolbox downstairs and even took that up there and put it through the little circular thing on the hasp that would hold the door intact, so that if he did come upstairs, to reassure her that nobody can get in the house and get to you.
Oh, wow. That's awful.
And only then would she go to sleep, because she was having nightmares.
So she was living with you at that time?
She told several people that he would kill her.
Yeah.
Several people.
Was she living with you at that time?
Yes. And kind of, she would leave and go down the street
Mm-hmm.
or go 2 blocks over. And no matter where she went, he would find her.
Oh, man.
I mean, he had,
What an
at one
asshole.
point, he was writing her shortly after the incident, when I had him leave my house and he broke her nose, he got arrested, fortunately, maybe a week later.
Yeah.
And so he went away to prison for a year, and those fine folks at Newcastle prison had him. And
That's nice of them.
he didn't stop writing her.
Wow.
So I called Newcastle and had a cease and desist order placed against him.
Oh, good for you.
And well, he tried telling everybody that she was a snitch and that she had got him arrested, and you know, it wasn't her at all. She didn't even have any knowledge. I intercepted the letters because I was the homeowner, and he legally couldn't be, you know, sending letters, and called the prison because they were responsible.
Right. Yeah.
So I get on them. They went ahead and filed the cease and desist order. And, you know, he still got letters out to her. That didn't stop him. He has absolutely no regard for rules. No, you know, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, he sounds like
He's been arrested an average of maybe once a month.
Mm-hmm.
Once
Wow.
every couple months ever since.
Yeah, he's violated again and has
he's
court
out
on.
again now. He got out yesterday.
Well, he violated, so he's going back to court, and I'm sure they're gonna put him back. He was in a outpatient, like an inpatient, like treatment center, and he's violated, and so he has court on August 5th. So hopefully he'll be locked up again.
I don't think he'll go to court.
He probably won't show up, and then he'll have a
think he'll
warrant.
run.
You're right. Yeah, he'll have a warrant, I'm sure. Okay,
Yeah,
so
that's
your
kind of been
time,
his pattern, and he's
for
he's
sure.
so prone to trouble. He can't stay out of it. I mean,
Yeah.
but he'll run. Yeah, he won't appear in court.
He also
I would be
has
very
some
surprised if he did.
trespassing and on private property. I'm sure that's from his squatting, and that was in 2020. And he also has some like protective orders against him for people. Like he's got a long record.
Yes, he's really
Very
not
long.
a very pleasant person at all, and he particularly likes to beat on women.
Yeah, that's
men.
the worst kind of man. I'm sorry, but it is. Okay,
He's
so
definitely a narcissist.
yeah. So your timeline, the week that she went missing, when did you last see Jamie?
The last time I seen her was 2 years ago tonight at about quarter till midnight, maybe 11:30, quarter till 12.
Mm-hmm.
I had reported her. That was on a Friday, I believe. But I had reported that the last time I'd seen her was actually Thursday around 2 or 3 when she left to go ride her bike because he had stolen her bike. And when she got it back, there was a flat tire. So she took it and had her other friend fix it. And she did go for a bike ride. Prior to that, she'd been with me maybe 2 or 3 days. And I know that she was dope sick because she slept all the time.
Right.
And I actually woke her up at one point and I was like, Jamie, do you need anything, honey? I'm getting worried, you know, because you're still asleep. And I just had to make sure that I, you know, checked on her.
Yeah.
And I asked her, I said, when's the last time you did that stuff? And she said, Mommy, it's been a couple days. Can you not tell? And I told her, okay, you know, but,
oh, that's
she
good.
left to go ride her bike. And
this was on the 30th?
it was, I want to think, I've got it exactly written down on my old calendar, but don't have access to it right this minute. But I want to think, to the best of my knowledge, I'm trying my very best to be honest.
Oh,
I
you're
believe
fine.
it was on a Thursday about 2 or 3 that she left to go ride her bicycle.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that would have been the 30th, if I'm correct. And again, I got my notes because I'm really bad with dates sometimes.
Yep.
Especially
Thursday
now.
was the 30th. Thursday
And then
was the
I
30th.
think that I had forgotten when I made the first report about her being missing that she had came in about 11:30, quarter till 12 on Friday night. Well, it would have been Friday morning, but at any rate, it would have been the 31st and not the 30th, like I reported originally.
Okay. And that was when you heard her come in, but you didn't see her, correct?
No, I heard her come in, and I actually got up because I followed her to the porch, and that's where we had our our last conversation.
Okay.
About, I asked her if she wanted to help putting a restraining order against Robert Sorrells Jr.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, I don't know. I'll think about it. Can I let you know tomorrow?
Oh,
She
wow.
said, I might. And I said, Jenny, are you okay? And she said, yeah, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
And I was saying, well, why are you leaving? And, you know, are you coming back? And she said, yeah, but I got some things I have to do.
Okay.
Um,
So she left on her bike and she took clothing with her, and I'm assuming her cell phone and her belongings.
there was a new cell phone I had just got her. So she
Okay.
had a new phone and she had that. And she always, it's crazy, but when she rode around on her little bikes,
Mm-hmm.
she always had like a backpack and another bag. I don't know why, but I do know why sometimes. She would take like extra food, canned goods, packaged goods and stuff out of the cabinet that were
Aw.
getting close to the expiration date.
To
And
give
I
to
always stayed
people.
like really stocked up, and I'm there by myself, right? So I didn't need all this food.
Right.
And I would tell her, Jamie, you know, I know you know people, you know, take food.
Yeah.
So it wasn't unusual for her to take a bunch of clothing and, you know, she always would put canned goods and just whatever, packaged goods, or little things like the trial size shampoo, conditioner bottles,
Right.
toothbrushes. She knew a lot of people, and she just loved, you know, like passing that stuff out. So
Okay.
she had her Armor All black backpack on her back, and she had, you know, was hasty and went into her bedroom, which we were packing up anyway to get ready for the move, but she was throwing clothing into the bag. And then she had her little another little green bag. Okay, is he in bed? I'm sorry, Mel, hold on just 1 second,
Oh, you're
please.
fine.
Okay, all right.
Maybe just see if he needs to use the bathroom or something.
Okay.
And talk a little bit.
I will,
Or if
son.
you do hear him up, maybe that's what he's doing.
Yeah, I will. I'll go check on him like every 15. I can move this phone with me.
All right.
I love you. I hope you have a
I'll
good night.
probably get off earlier than her, but I don't gotta drive all the way back out there. I'm just gonna sit out there, whatever. Hopefully,
Okay.
take some time until she gets off.
Okay, well, don't worry. You guys can call and check on him. I promise he'll be fine. I love you guys. Have a good night.
All right.
Bye. I'm sorry, Mel. I'm
Oh,
back.
you're totally fine. That's, you know, life takes priority.
I've got my 4-year-old grandson tonight, and they're potty training him, so I gotta stay after him. He's in his room now, so I'll try to
Aw.
lower my voice a little bit. And
Gotcha.
yeah, I'm excited.
Oh, that's fun. Okay, so you last seen her on July 31st, but it was like at midnight. So during the night,
it was
she
close
leaves.
to midnight. It might have been a few minutes before or a few
Okay.
minutes after.
She leaves with her belongings, and then a witness, I'm assuming, reported that she later on that day between 3 and 4, someone attempted to run her over in a blue car at the 3800 block of West Washington area.
Yes, ma'am.
So that happened. And then on August 1st of 2020, Jamie is seen by a witness being dragged into 508 South Warman Street, Indianapolis, by her recently ex-boyfriend, Robert Sorrells Jr. Robert was squatting in that house. And I had asked, and I think I asked this to you already, if that was credible information. And we had decided that one probably wasn't, and one probably was because it was a neighbor in front of the house.
Yes.
Okay. And then we're
There's some
moving.
people that actually moved. I really don't know. I think there were a total of like 4 different sources that information came from.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Besides the one that I'm aware of.
Okay. And then now we move into the initial search phase. What was the date that you began searching for Jamie? It was within a couple days, wasn't it?
The next morning.
The next morning. Wow. So you knew.
I had told my friend Tim, which you've met,
Mm-hmm.
and my other friend Michelle, and they came down. They were walking to the store, stopped by the house. I always went out on my porch early in the morning and read my Bible and, said my prayer and stuff. But this was a little later. This was about 10 a.m. But they come up on the porch, and Tim always teases me because I would sit out there with my gun in on the table beside me, on the little wrought iron table on the porch,
Mm-hmm.
and my Bible. And I would tell him, well, around here, I mean, you have to be safe. And I told him I come out here at night when it's dark. And, you know, in this area, it is a really horrible area to live.
Right.
It has become that. So they had came about 10 a.m. to walk into the station, and I had told him that, you know, she had been there last night. And I said, I told him, I said, when I hugged and kissed her goodbye, I said, I got this awful feeling, Tim.
Mm-hmm.
And the film had little tears, you know. And I said, I just didn't want to let go. I just didn't want to let go of her. And I said, I tried to call her phone
Right.
several times after that, and, you know, to ask her. I said, I didn't want her to see that I was getting ready to cry, and I had this lump in my throat, and she would get so upset because I get emotional.
Oh.
And so I'm holding, you know, fighting back tears, but I laughed and told him kind of my mom meter was going crazy.
Yeah.
And Tim said immediately, you got to report her missing. And I said, well, I haven't even looked for her yet, but I said, she's not answering her phone. And I got this really bad feeling, guys. That's just not right.
Oh.
And so Tim immediately, bless his heart,
Yes.
he
I like him a
immediately
lot.
started working on it. Like, he's the one that found the 508
Okay.
that Robert Sorrells was staying there. He's gotten so much information for us.
Yes, I think that he was willing, and I really do want to talk to him. Maybe in our second. We think we're going to do 3 installments of this because there's just so much
thank you.
information, and I would
I'm
love to
so
talk to
grateful to you
him.
now.
Maybe in that next live, which will probably be maybe at the end of this week. And then
Okay.
that would put us in line for when Chaotic Beauty is back in town, and then follow up with her. I think that'll be a really good, because we're going to do that one together at her house with her files. So I'm going to go and be in that scary room of hers where she's got all that.
She has some big files.
She does have some big files. And so we're going to sit down and just systematically kind of go through them and maybe figure out a way to make it into a spreadsheet is what I would like to do on the computer.
Yes.
And so I think that'll be a really big help.
Too. I think I explained to you earlier that I got so paranoid about, like, right after, before I ended up renegotiating another deal for the house, and took even less money because these people were watching my house, and I could see them, and I'm old, but I'm not stupid.
Right.
And I could tell that and I told Tim, I told everybody, they're either going to kick in my doors and come in on me at night,
Mm-hmm.
or they're going to burn me out, you know, set the house on fire.
Right.
So I renegotiated, sold the house earlier, especially, you know, I just was so distraught and wanted out of there, gathered up all of her stuff, very little of mine except for the clothes on my back and a few things.
Mm.
I left antiques. I left all kinds of stuff in that house, and didn't care. I was just that, you know, distraught. But I did send her stuff to 2 or 3 places, thinking maybe there's more evidence in it, you know, just being paranoid.
Right.
So I have notes, and I had, during the first searches, nobody really took notes or anything. I didn't know. We never had a missing person before. I didn't know how important it was to document things and you know, keep good records. And there was just so many people searching originally. And
okay, there was.
People would just hand me things, you know. Well, I found this over there, and which all of it got turned in. There were, I don't know how many phones we turned in. I really can't remember, honestly. But now, you know, as trial and error, as time goes on, now I know it's really important to get things like dates and times and write things down. And then we've had people retract what they said, and it's just been I don't know, a nightmare is kind of putting it mildly. And I know that a lot of other people go through this stuff.
Yeah.
And they make it, you know, and I know that we're going to make it too, because we have no choice.
Yeah.
But
it's very hard, though. It's very
so
hard.
I'm going to get mine together and kind of try the best I can to get an idea of of what I recall as her last contact.
Okay.
And since I can't access your phone, I'm sure IMPD has better, they have her phone records or access to them. So
Okay.
they actually know, about her phone calls.
Gotcha.
I can access her Facebook Messenger. And to the best of my knowledge, I got her last communication was about 2:55 a.m. on August 1st. And it
Okay.
was to her friend on Addison Street. And she had asked him if he needed help, saying, be careful. He was going to be painting his house or something, but she's offering to help, saying it's going to be extremely hot tomorrow. I was just calling to see if he needed any help. And she was down the street, maybe 4 doors from my house.
Wow.
When
So
she made this last call.
So that was on August 1st at 2:55 a.m.
Yes, ma'am. To the best of my knowledge, it was on August 1st at 2:55 a.m. And that was the last. Prior to that, a couple hours prior to that, her little friend, who's also listed as a person of interest, so I won't name him.
Okay.
But he was someone that she referred to as my little brother.
Oh.
And he had been shot at by someone else, so she had ran down this alley.
Oh, wow.
To make sure he was okay, concerned for his safety.
Jeez.
And she was very distraught about it. I mean, I heard her voice clippings where she was crying and her little voice was cracking. He had his kids in the car with him, or 2 kids in the truck with him, or whatever.
Wow.
And someone had shot at him.
Wow. So do you think that someone was trying to keep
the kind
them
of person
quiet?
that she was when she heard that he was being shot at.
She ran
just
too.
Takes off running down a dark alley
Mm-hmm.
In the middle of the night, not thinking that she might be putting herself into a dangerous situation.
Yeah.
Especially if someone, was being shot at actively.
Right. Wow.
But she had such a big heart. I mean.
No. Okay, so I have a few more questions about that initial search. Where all did you search? Just like the neighborhood around where you knew she frequented, or?
Yes, we searched the tip that Tim got at
South Warman.
508 and back behind it, which leads to what they say is 1907. It's an old railroad bridge that has water running through it from a little finger like a White River. Mm-hmm. And that was, I think, a place of interest in the Baby Amaya case.
Yes.
And I suspect a lot of other crime has happened there. So we searched, because that's really close to the address she was last seen at. We focused on that area and searched there quite a bit. And then we got a tip that she was being tortured, tortured, pimped out, beaten.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
And that address that this lady had given us, I'm still not sure of details in that, because it was not the person's phone that the call came through on. I call it the Carolyn Baker lead, but she actually wasn't the one who made the tip. It was someone else who got access to her phone, and it was through a man in their house. And his name was, oh my goodness, Pittman, Arthur Pittman. And he had said that he knew where Jamie was. And so this lady had made him tell her this address, but she gave us 3 different addresses. And I'm calling 911. I'm frantic, and I meet him there. And when we finally do get a legitimate address, and the officers had left except for one. And then I kind of debated, this man wouldn't let him come in and search his house. So I thought, you're guilty. That's why you won't let him search your house. My daughter's in the house. Well, I knew that if I had an altercation with him,
right,
that they would, and I got past him, but I thought I could take him. I mean, that's just kind of where my mind was at. My daughter may be in that house. I got to do, even if they shoot me, once they get inside, even if they shoot me and kill me, they're going to find her. So it's a win. So, and my older daughter, I just remember her putting her arms around me saying, Mama, Mama, what are you doing? Please stop. And I remember feeling her tremble. And so I guess I had started to kind of I was thinking about taking his cocktail and shoving it down his throat and getting past him. He was a big guy.
Right.
And I thought I can get past him, get in the house, even though this one officer is going to come behind me and shoot me. But once the one officer that's left, because there were like 4 or 5 cars originally, and I thought, maybe, once this officer comes in, he'll be inside. They'll go ahead and find her anyway. So, but I had to apologize to him, needless to say. It was quite embarrassing. I believe that he's a friend of mine's relative, and he actually works in law enforcement. Imagine that.
Oh, man.
It was quite embarrassing, really. But by that point, I hadn't slept for a couple days. I wasn't taking my meds right. Then I overdosed on my insulin accidentally. It was just horrible. I mean, I was just an emotional train wreck, and I just couldn't help it. But I did. I apologized and shook his hand. And he had a 12-year-old son, so he kind of understood why I would, go to the extremes. And once he heard our story, he kind of got on board. But he had told my friend about it. And then she had told him, oh, I know her. So she had came over a day or two later and joined a search and was telling me that, he's legit. And I was really embarrassed. But he gave us another address where it just so happens that we were sent to the same address by 3 other people.
Oh, wow.
So I believe that there might have been some truth to that last address. And it's burnt too as well. See, all of these places before my detectives get warrants to go in and search, they just mysteriously burn down.
Huh.
And it's been so frustrating because it's happened to several locations. At this one address, anyhow, the guy that was at 131 North Elder sent us to 131 South Elder. And it wasn't actually that. It was kind of the house next door to it or something. But we went in the house, because they won't go in there. So we went in. My son-in-law and my other daughter and I went in, and there was a room upstairs that there was like a bucket with feces in it where you could tell that a human had, been up there. And there was a bed in the room, a chair across the room, and there was a Little Caesars pizza box that was not discolored. It was, the pizza, there was a little bit of pizza left on the box, and it was kind of fresh, like within a couple of days, you could tell. So I kind of think maybe I just, I worried that, this is probably the room that she was being held in.
No, I'm so sorry.
But that house burnt down before they could get warrants to go. And Detective Burton has been awesome. I know he's missing persons detective and not a homicide. And I complained so much because I knew immediately she's a homicide. She's not a missing persons.
Right.
This is not even in the right area. But he has been so good about when I tell him things, he really, tries to get resources and get into these places. There's just been so many lies, and, it takes resources when they get warrants and they go into places. And I believe that some of the very people who are responsible probably had other people, set us up for, because at first, every lead we took to heart, Tim and I both, and my kids, and every lead we would just be there, just searching, doing whatever we had to do. One place, honestly, I broke into 508 because IMPD wouldn't go in there.
Right.
And I thought she was in there, but I called the homeowner. I am honest and I'm decent. Or at least I was until this happened to my daughter. But I called Miguel, the homeowner. I tracked him down through the neighbors and told him that, I broke into the house, and I told him why, that I thought my daughter was being held in there, and I'll pay for the window and whatever other damage you think I've done. Well, that's how he found out that Robert Sorrells Jr. was in his house again because he had already ran him out like 2 or 3 times.
Oh, wow.
And it turned out that he was so sweet, he wouldn't take any money for the damages that I did because I was honest and I called him. And he wanted IMPD to come back and search again. And he met us over there, and he was more than willing to let them in the house.
Right.
Not only did he want them to, he requested it because he was kind of, fearful about being there.
Freaked out a
And
little
all
bit,
of
I'm
the
sure.
other neighbors had told him how badly it stunk, that they thought he had a body over there and that he was taking little bags out of the house.
Oh, gosh.
So he is a wonderful man.
That's great.
And I still would have, I would have paid for the damage I did. I'm responsible, and I'm not going to, blame my stuff on someone else. So I felt bad, if someone broke into my house for a good reason, I would want them to tell me the truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he said, no, I'm taking him to court. And he said, I want him to pay because he's
He
not
did.
supposed to be there.
He did.
So he did take him to court.
Yep.
And that's probably one thing that you've seen. But Phoenix, go back to bed, okay? I'll be right there. I promise. Just a little bit.
Yeah,
Did
we're
you say your
almost
prayers?
through this.
Did you say your prayers?
Aw.
Go on. I'll be in there in a minute, okay?
His voice.
Okay. Oh, okay. Go on. I love you. I love you too. He's so sweet.
He's got the cutest voice.
He
Okay,
does.
well, I'll
and
try to.
He's funny.
I'll try to
He
hurry
keeps
and
me
get through
going a lot.
this. We just have a little bit more left. I was wanting to know if, like, between in the early stages of the investigation, was law enforcement pretty forthcoming with you about their investigation? And, like, did they think foul play, like, pretty quickly, or?
I don't think they ever did. I think really Detective Burton is the only one who ever really listened to me.
No, he seems like a good man.
The others kind of initially, the first 2 that they sent out, they kind of, chalked it up immediately to, I did that one other time I had reported her missing.
Mm-hmm.
And that had been like, I don't know, 5 or 6 years prior to that.
Mm-hmm.
And so they found her. She had just left for a day or 2, and I just got totally frantic.
Oh.
And so originally they said things like, that she's 33 years old and we can't make her contact you. And to which I replied, yes, I know. And I was honest. They asked, does this person have any mental health issues or substance abuse issues? And I said yes. And I was honest about her drugs of choice.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's real common. I am a recovering addict, and I've been clean for since 2012. And before that, prior to that, it was like 5 years or 10 years. And I had a little small relapse and maybe lasted a day, and it was alcohol. I got right back on the next day. So I know that, relapse sometimes is part of recovery.
Mm-hmm.
And some of us really do, but I kind of felt like that before Detective Burton, I kind of felt like, because she was an addict, nobody was going to look for her. And when I would call them, because she would be spotted, allegedly spotted at a place, they would never really check it out. They kind of just, really, I kind of felt like they just, for the most part, just blew us off. Other than Detective Burton. And in spite of him being missing persons, when I wanted homicide, I really feel that he himself has tried to utilize all of the information that he's received.
That's excellent.
And, I really believe that he's went above and beyond putting effort into, and I know he's put a lot of time and a lot of hard work into her case.
Right.
So at this point, I'm kind of okay with that she's not a homicide, although I believe, I know in my heart, and everyone knows that she's a homicide. She's not just a missing person. He also, Detective Burton assured me that just because he's missing persons, and that's what his title is,
right,
he does share her case with like homicide, FBI, DEA, you know, other agencies as needed. So I'm kind of reassured in that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
He's just her detective on file, but it doesn't mean that other people don't work on her case.
Of course. What's in your opinion, what happened to your daughter? What do you feel in your heart of hearts?
I knew almost instantly.
Yeah.
And I believe she was beaten to death, and that's where all of the tips say that she was beaten to death, and I don't doubt that a bit. It's alleged that she was set up by two of her girlfriends for pay.
Yeah.
That they got paid or drugs or whatever.
Yeah.
To set her up, have her meet them, and who knows how many people were there. And I do believe Robert O Sorrells Jr. is involved. He refused a lie detector test, and if he were innocent, he wouldn't have the need to refuse that. You know, he would have. I thought about it many times. And, you know, if I got accused of killing somebody, I would be demanding that they give me a lie detector test, you know, immediately. Like, do it now.
Sure. Yeah.
So, you know, an innocent person wouldn't have anything to hide.
Right. And I wanted to ask you, is there
That's how I know and all of the tips say that he set her up and or participated.
Right.
And not only him alone, but I believe it probably took several people to make that happen.
Right. Yeah.
And she had to have went somewhere where she thought she was safe because she was pretty cautious.
Right.
So she's went somewhere thinking that she was saving somebody.
Probably. Yeah, that makes sense.
And that's, you know, and I suspect that several people, I just don't think that one or two people could have, unless he accidentally was beating her when he was seen allegedly dragging her into the house and he accidentally hit her too hard and killed her, because he's told a couple people in confidence on his crying drunks that he hit her too hard, and then he didn't explain.
Wow.
So he could have accidentally killed her and then enlisted the other people that murdered Blake and the other group for help disposing of her.
I see. Yeah.
I'm not quite sure. I have a lot of different theories.
Yeah.
And hopefully time will tell.
Hopefully this new information will be just what's needed. You know, I know that
I am praying that, because no matter how horrible it is, you know, my whole family has fallen apart. You know, she's a very big part of our lives.
Right. Well,
and,
just a little story.
None of us have been the same. It's like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's just like not doing anything wrong, but you wake up and you're in hell.
Right.
And then hell is your life, and you don't understand what's going on. How did I get here? What did I do? You know, I mean, I couldn't imagine.
Yeah.
I just couldn't imagine. And I know that other people have went through this, and my heart goes out to every parent, especially a parent who's lost a child or anybody who's lost anyone.
Yeah.
You know, under circumstances like that.
And I've interviewed quite a few people at this point, and the most pain comes from the ones that, like Miss Denise Allen and Haley Kelly, is your child is dead and you don't know where they are, you know. And I think that is, from parents who have murdered children, that's what they were grateful for, you know, is that, well, there's parents out there that have it worse than we did, because we were able to lay our daughter to rest, our son to rest. And I'm so sorry. And just a little quick story of hope. I'm sure you follow the Karina McClurkin, but they have found.
I do, and I've heard there's good news on that, but you know, I've tried to follow up with it a couple times.
They found her body.
And I haven't been real thorough, so yes, please catch me up on that.
Yes, they have found her body, and they have arrested a suspect.
Awesome.
So, you know, like, and that was in 2016, and it's 2022. Yes. So hopefully that something good like that comes down the line here really soon for Jamie.
Yes,
And is
I
there a
do, and that
reward
gives me so
fund?
much hope.
Good.
Can I ask you where they found her body, her remains?
It was in somewhere around Peru, Indiana.
Was it in the field that I believe his name was Michael Phelps?
No.
Was it in a field?
No. He
Okay,
didn't
I
know
read
anything
something about him saying that somebody
yeah,
had
he's
said,
said a lot along the way that's really muddled the case, and it's
Yeah.
not okay.
well, thank God. I'm so glad
Yeah.
they found her.
Is there a fund, like a reward fund?
There is, and
Okay.
her dad has that.
Okay, great. So if anyone were to, and it leads to something credible, and it leads to her body and leads to like the suspect being, you know, held accountable for his crimes or her or them, that is something that they could collect on, correct?
Yes, ma'am. And I believe it's like $6,000 now.
Awesome.
We really haven't. I got ill for a while, and still kind of am, but I'm going to be back up and getting back on searches and stuff now. So we kind of got off the like fundraising and, you know, doing events and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But we hope to get back into that where we're going to try to generate a little more to put with that. And I believe the last time I spoke to him, he was going to go ahead and put it in a bank for safekeeping.
Okay.
And we had talked about, you know, all the different ways that I didn't know there was so many, you know, ways you could do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope we get that up. But right now, as far as I know, I believe it's 6,000.
Okay. Well, I would like to be a part. I did take some, I was certified with SARS and search and rescue like training. And I would, if you have anything that you would like to get planned for upcoming searches, I would love to attend. And I know a lot of my followers are here in Indiana as well. You know,
Awesome.
just if we could organize
I've got
a
one
day.
place. Well, actually, I've got two places in mind.
Okay.
I kind of don't want to say them. Just disclose the location right now because
yeah.
Of persons of interest that we may not want, you know, intercepting us or meeting us
That's
there.
That's very smart. Yes, I agree.
And I know that, you know, her detectives have a couple places planned. I don't have information on where that may be, but I know that they've got some new information, which, like I said, I'm really hopeful. I just, you know, my faith in humanity has almost been destroyed with this. And then every now and then I still kind of have a little inkling that maybe, you know, maybe there are good people left in the world, and maybe somewhere someone's hearing this or another podcast or seeing a flyer, you know, or just it bothers them because they know stuff and they'll tell somebody who'll get it to the right place.
Yes.
We've had a lot of people call us, her family members.
That seems to happen quite frequently.
Details, but I don't want to get involved, or I didn't say that, but I'm telling you this.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Those kind of people make me so angry. I mean, I have tried to be as quiet as possible, and, you know, please call law enforcement and then call us and tell us about it, but report it first because we can't go arrest people.
Right.
You know, we can't do anything with that information. It's just hearsay. If it comes from us and we're her family, you know, it just doesn't even look like it's a legitimate, serious tip.
Right.
Especially given that all of the places that we have given them good information on, the evidence gets burned, you know, the places get burnt down or the evidence gets destroyed by the time they get there. And, you know, I can imagine how frustrating that is for IMPD because it just, every time it just kills me, my heart just sinks.
And they're so overworked in Indianapolis.
Oh, they are, and they have so many cases.
Yes, I was listening to that and reading the article that I showed at the beginning of the show, and it said that they had 300 missing persons case that Detective Burton and his team of like 3 people are working.
I know. There's only like 4 of them in the
awful.
missing persons team.
Yeah.
And I thought it was more 3,000 in a month or so.
Mm-hmm.
But, I'm bad on numbers. But
It could have been
horrible.
3,000 and I thought it said 300. It wouldn't surprise me. You saw the list. It's a mile long for missing persons in Indiana right now. And I did want to ask you, have you and your her father given a DNA sample for comparison?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Have you happened to genetic genealogy, the test you can get done on like 23andMe or Ancestry? Have you thought about doing that?
I have not done that.
Okay. Is that something that you'd be interested?
Through NamUs. Someone had told me about it, and I called Detective Burton, and he said, actually, I have a note here to call you and tell you about that today. Okay. And he said, how soon can you guys be here? So her dad lives out of town, so I contacted Jimmy, and we went like 2 days later. So that was to register her with NamUs, I believe. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, he said it also shows up in like if she would be sex trafficked or something. Yep. And sent to another country, it would even show up there that they could track her down.
Yeah, and Micmac as well. And then I know that sometimes when I say they find, because this is what I used to do, just solely this, was find clusters of unidentified and try to match them with missing persons. And sometimes, especially with the advancements in DNA, having your profile open on GEDmatch can be really beneficial for cases, especially of missing or unidentified, to start searching the databases for the unidentified remains. So if that's something that you would be interested in doing, and her father, it's not too expensive. And I think that we as a channel could fund that, or give to the fund or help fund some of the search and get things going. I really want my channel to be about giving back. It is monetized, and I cannot do it without you guys. And any money that you give here is going to go. I will keep some for myself so that I can keep doing this.
As you should.
Not a lot though. I don't need too much, but I do pay for a lot of like different just databases. And but I want us to be able to work together and help in those ways. And I feel like between Karina, we have almost the money that I had wanted to donate. I have it for Karina, and then our next donation, I would like it to go to you. It's not going to be, a huge amount, but I definitely think we could pay for the genetic genealogy, and I can help you to upload it to GEDmatch and all of that stuff and walk you through it. You really don't live far from me at all.
You've given me some advice before on a couple places. And as I was telling you earlier today, I have so much trouble with my mind just racing, and the anxiety. And some of it is, it is what it is. It's just going to be that way. Right. And I'm reluctant to take meds because I take so many meds for my physical things already that honestly, I take like 12 prescriptions a day anyway.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And I have a 62-year-old liver.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm always telling my doctors, like I won't take pain meds or anything that'll sedate me. And then I still have the brain fog anyway. I probably wouldn't be much worse if I took stuff, but I just rather deal with most things than medicate. But sometimes I have trouble with the brain fog and I forget things.
Yeah. Well,
so yeah,
trauma does that. Trauma does that too, and
I
this
know
is an
that you've
extreme.
helped me a lot, like giving me, I just rewatched a podcast the other night with you, and I think Who's Your Cold Case had told me how to file the the Senate Law 177 or something.
Yeah.
And you right before that had given me like 5 places that you recommended highly. So I went back and wrote those down.
Aw.
And I like stopped the YouTube and would write stuff down. And then I'd start it again. And then I said, oh, my goodness, how did I miss this the first time? And I'm looking at my son, my oldest son, like,
yeah.
I've really got some serious issues going on, don't I?
Oh,
I said, because I watched
totally
this
natural.
a few times, and I miss out on this whole part entirely.
Before I forget, your daughter, Chris, is in the chat, so I wanted.
Crystal is. I love you, Crystal.
Yeah. So Crystal,
That's awesome.
I hope you heard
I didn't get a chance to call and invite her.
Yeah. So she's been chatting along and listening, and she had said something earlier about you and just your family, and I really appreciate you both being here and talking to us tonight. And
yeah, she's awesome.
I wanted to close by asking you, and the thing is like, I know you're angry and you have every right to be angry. But sometimes, taking that approach with the person that you desperately want to come forward and you're mad because they're not, it can kind of, sometimes in just general cases, it can they will ask you not to do that, like law enforcement will, and just pleading from the bottom of your heart. And like, do you think that you would be able to find it in your heart to forgive that person who knows and hasn't told? To where if they came forward, they could do that and not, and finally do the right thing. And what would you want to say to that person?
I could never forgive them.
Okay. That's your
They
right. Yeah.
Still not in 1,000 years, even if I get sent to hell. I'm so sorry, Mel, but I'm being honest.
Oh, that's okay. I want you to be.
Never get forgiveness from me. Never in a million years.
Yeah.
They took something so vital from my family, and they destroyed each and every one of us.
Right. I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to be this way.
No, I totally, I would, to the person that killed her, absolutely. I was just wondering if you thought there was people that know and for whatever reason they're scared.
I know that all of her friends know.
Really?
All of them. They all hear things, and I do understand about being afraid.
Yeah.
I would certainly not wish for any of them to be any harm.
Yeah.
But I also know that she did an awful lot for all of them, and they know it too. And their consciences have to be bothering them if they have any kind of soul at all, any kind of moral compass.
Right.
I don't know how they lay down and sleep at night.
Yeah.
And
I just hope that,
I guess they won't realize until it hits home, until they lose one of theirs. And sadly, then they'll understand, how important it is to report.
Right.
And I wanted her to tell the truth too. I did want her to report.
Right.
But I also wanted to protect her. And I know that there are ways that they could have done that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, if they came forward now, I guess I would have like people that do know. If they came forward now, they don't even have to tell me. They don't never have to tell me or her brothers.
That's very true.
Or her sister. If they just took it where it belonged and they gave enough facts, enough details so that law enforcement would know they were sincere and not more lies, and enough information so that they could do some more investigation to dig a little deeper. All we want is the truth. Really all I want is just a little piece of whatever might be left of her out there. I don't care if they said that they burn her, they put her in acid. I know they had to have beaten her badly. If she were just like an overdose or an accident, or if he beat her, hit her too hard.
Yeah.
They would have just left her the way they did all the other bodies. They would have just left her to be found. So
yeah,
by them going to so many extremes to keep her hidden and keep her from us,
Right.
let's know that it was so horrible.
Yeah. I'm so sorry.
And we may never know, you know. I worry about things like, was she scared? Did she call out for me? She died alone.
I'm very sorry. I
And
know that's not enough.
I just, the people that did it, I just can't even tell you if I could go to jail for how many times I've tortured him in my mind already.
Yeah.
I would be locked up forever, and they would throw away the key because I have so much hatred. They're animals. I don't even consider them human beings. They're just animals. Soulless, mindless animals from hell. And I'd like to send every one of them back there where they belong. I'm so sorry. Oh my goodness, I am so sorry, Mel.
Oh, the chat is, we all understand you. You have every right. I can't imagine. Mama doesn't owe anyone a damn thing, including forgiveness. No shade. Yeah.
And this is so painful for my kids, my other kids to listen to. And I try so hard to keep this part stuffed inside me and try to act positive. And now they all know I'm full of crap.
No, they don't. I guarantee you're one of the strongest women I know, and you've endured 2 years of absolute hell on earth that no one wants to be in your shoes, and no one deserves to be in your shoes. And
I just wish they would have came after me. You know, I'm old. I just can't imagine. If they really wanted to hurt her, all they had to do was come get me. You know, I was right there. That's how they could have hurt my daughter the most. If they, they really thought she was a snitch, or that that she was such a threat to them because she was confrontational about them killing people. If they really, really wanted to hurt her, that would have been what they should have done.
Yeah. Because that's the thing, is like,
they would have had a bigger fight on their hands than they ever had with her, because I am a fighter and I won't go down like that.
But she protected, and that's I think, like I had mentioned that at last year when we did the podcast, and like all the people the great people that I got to meet at the cookout, and those people and their diligence over these last, year, and then now 2 years, is that speaks to your daughter's character. And, like, she gave back to the world. Yes, she had her problems, and so do a lot of people. But she was still good in her heart.
She was a decent human being, and she did. I mean, she would give anybody the shirt off her back. It didn't matter if she just met him. She had no prejudice. No, we're all just people. I love that about her.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I just liked it because it made her vulnerable in that area around those people.
Yeah. It sounds like she just, like, that was just built into her DNA, though, of like protecting other people and fighting for the weaker, and running towards trouble, unfortunately, because now here we are. But I think it's still it can be her. I think I'd heard you say this on Mike Morford's podcast about you love that about her, but it was also what you hated about her because it got her killed.
I did.
That was such a powerful interview you did with him, and I am going to link it here in a minute. I forgot because it's on the podcast platform, and I linked a bunch of YouTube stuff, but it was really good. He's so such a gentle, kind man.
Amy, through Amy, I met all of you podcasters that I have met, you and Hoosier, and oh my goodness, Incognito, and you guys have been wonderful too. I know that there's still good people and I try every day. I struggle with, the good and the bad. And I try to keep my attitude together.
Right.
It's just hard sometimes. And today's been particularly hard, but it's almost over, and I made it through
Yep,
it. And
you did.
I just sometimes I don't nurture my own kids enough because I try to keep things to myself.
Right. And I wanted to tell you.
I'm trying not to do that as much, and I'd like to say a big thank you and a shout out, hugs to Tim Green and
oh yes,
Detective Burton, all the podcasters. You guys, I love you so much. Everybody who's prayed and helped us.
Yes,
for sure. You guys have been our rock.
Well, I wanted you to know that Lake Michigan, one of my members, has donated the first $20 for Justice for Jamie.
Aww,
so that's exciting
news.
Thank you
so much.
Yeah.
That's
and
awesome.
As soon as YouTube's kind of weird, they pay you just monthly if you meet they take a lot of it from me, 30%. But I know, isn't that ridiculous? But I got banned from pay
because you work so hard, and I think you really have to have a talent for that. In this stuff with my daughter, I love and respect you guys so much, but I was so clueless on all of the work it takes, because just on her case alone, and she's mine, so I want to give it my very best, and I do push myself really hard. But it has been, you put so much effort into it. And we hear so many horrible things. I don't know how. God just makes special people for special purposes, is all that I can say, because I don't think I could do what you do. And it's so hard not to get involved and take every case to heart. And I guess that's what makes you guys good at what you do. But I don't know how you do it. I have to say that. Without letting it affect your attitude, as far as your belief in human beings. And
it gets shaky sometimes, but I have to believe at the end of the day that the people are good at heart. And I think the way I look at it is God gave me an ability to see patterns, and I finally found somewhere where that type of brain ability is helpful. And so, that's what you can do, is find ways in this world that you can give back. And that's great. Well, we've got two more. Arrow Sarge, he has donated 10. Thank you
so much,
Justice for Jamie. And then we have Kate Peace Mule with $9.99. That always happens to me too, Kate. It won't let me pick 10, and I don't know how. I'll have to ask them how they were able to get it, because mine always, when I donate, it ends up being 99 cents. But yes, thank you guys so much. And she says Justice for Jamie as well.
Thank you all so much, and thank you too, Mel.
And I will add up, because today starts August. So whatever is made in August, then that will go to, I think I would like to talk, or have you talk to Detective Burton, to see if getting your guys's the genealogy thing, getting your it's just it's a swab, and then that information gets added, if that would be helpful, or if it would be more helpful to organize and pay for some of the things as a part of a search, or whatever else you need, just to take your family out to dinner. I know that was something that I did for a family, of just this, you're eating on me today, and they were fit to be tied about it. But just to have someone take over a burden, just even if it's just a little bit, it still helps. And I know that you've had to sacrifice so much, and I just love you, and I think you are awesome. And this is not over. We're going to,
I
want
Mel.
to,
I really have grown to love you, and it's not. And you know what? I'm so grateful. I have prayed so much about the Karina McClurkin case.
I know, isn't that great?
And some of the others too. But I'll tell you the truth. Some of them remind me of Jamie so much that I get physically sick from getting so wrapped up, and then something will trigger her and my memory. And so I kind of sometimes have to back off a little bit and try to focus back on what I need to do, what I have to do. But wouldn't it be wonderful if this new information that Detective Burton has received pans out and her case can be closed someday, you know, and I know that may happen. Because it only takes one decent person, maybe hearing us talk, maybe hearing, you know, another podcast, who knows?
Exactly.
Just one decent person to come through and prove that, you know, there are good people that are honest, and they don't ever have to tell me or our family, or, you know, they could just tell law enforcement and
right,
give them enough information that they really can take it and build a case on it.
Yep, for sure. And another
$5.
Their
identity would be protected if
100%.
we never knew, you know, nobody could get angry later and say, you know, that they said something. I mean, I just pray every night that one person comes through, you know, just somebody who knows factual information. You know, people don't go missing. They don't just disappear off the face of the earth.
I agree.
She didn't run away, and she didn't go for a walk in the park in the middle of the night. She was 4 doors from my house. She went with one of her trusted friends and was somewhere where she thought she was in an environment where she could be okay.
Right.
And I don't know.
Well,
you know, I just pray that somebody comes forward.
Me too. And there's someone in the chat that is asking me how to become trained in search and rescue, and that they know some very good trackers looking to donate their time. So
that is a good question. Now, how do you become trained in that?
It's online. It was just an online course where you had to basically study the curriculum and then take the test. I do wish there was somewhere that I could get in on the, like, you know, what is that called? I'm drawing a blank because I don't want to say boots on the ground.
but something like that, yes.
But yeah, like it's something that I can go back and review the curriculum just to kind of refresh my brain on. And you take tests, you take series of tests each time you pass a certain certification. And I did the basic ones of just like really learning like how to properly search in and what not to do, because I had gone out searching for Dakota Kelly, and we had just kind of done some things and that we probably shouldn't have done. And then a very kind couple of IMPD officers told us, you know, what to do. And so that's kind of where that led me to that road of getting that certification and learning how to do things properly. And we have 2 more. Justice for Jamie from Georgina Stoliker donated. And Lipsha.
Thank you, Georgina.
Justice for Jamie. So you have people, I hope that encourages you that just in tonight, you know, almost, if we say we did the genealogy thing and that's what Detective Burton thought, or you thought we could best use the money for, you know, you're halfway there. So that's really great. I know it's not a super lot, but I think every little bit helps. And when we can all pull together and do something good in this real crime world, we should, you know. And
little things do mean a lot.
I know they do.
More than people might realize. And I'm praying that as I am in therapy now, I'm seeking some counseling for my anger control. You know, the way I feel, the bitterness has kind of taken over my life. And I have to find some way of healing the best I can so that I can help the rest of my family, my children, my grandchildren, because
Yeah.
I'm our leader, as flawed as I am. So
Yeah.
the best
It's
I
hard.
do, then I can lead by example.
Right. I
And
struggle
I'm
with
praying that
it.
someday I can get to the point too where I can find something positive out of this,
Yeah.
and leave some kind of legacy to make her proud. I've got a couple of ideas of little things that she used to do, and I spoke to a couple people, but haven't put anything in action yet. The way that she loves street people, those are my people, Mom.
Mm-hmm.
The hookers and the homeless and the strung out. Jamie and I both got involved with a church a few years ago, and she actually was head of human resources.
Oh, wow.
So that was her job, was to, the church was owned by the ONAC, the Organized Native American Churches.
Mm-hmm.
And it was fun, well, it failed. The church didn't stay together and they had some problems, but while we were there, we got to work side by side, and I wanted to do substance abuse and lead some classes in, recovery from substance abuse and
Yeah.
in a Christianly way. And she helped me. I did the little library for him, but it was so much fun. And I think that she was so good at that. That's where she found her niche. That's what she was meant to do.
Oh.
Reach out, because she was so good at like drawing younger people, into the church and making them want to come in. And because she was so non-judgmental and, just hugging and friendly with everyone. And, I like to leave something like that.
Yeah.
I've thought of a few things, like making some Jamie Tate blessing boxes.
Yeah.
Out of used skids, you get these skids, and kind of, I'm not real good at carpentry, but I've got a few people to advise me. And like, she would take the extra food from my house and little things, down
so
to the people that
sweet.
lived under the bridge. And I kind of thought about, doing stuff like that, and painting them a pretty blue like her eyes, and putting one of her flyers on the boxes, and then putting a few, not, a lot, but just a few little things in there,
Mm-hmm.
and leaving them along the way.
Yeah, that would be good.
And I have to try
and
to look at the good.
posters, they were taken down,
I was
correct?
so honored to be blessed to be her mother for the 33 years that I had her. It wasn't near as long as I wanted, and I was supposed to go first. None of us parents ever think, we're really not. It's your worst nightmare that you should ever have to bury one of yours.
Absolutely.
That was the only thing that ever scared me, and I told everyone who knew me, has heard me say that forever, that
Absolutely.
I can handle anything. You cut my legs off, I'll be okay. I can handle anything, but I can't lose my babies.
Yeah, that's yeah, the chat is saying that's a beautiful idea about the blessing boxes, and that's something that we could help you with too. I think.
Well, I'd like to
Giving
someday
back.
heal enough to where I could do something like you, like you said, to be trained in search and rescue. It would be awesome if you could.
Uh-oh. We lost her. Her phone may have died. But is she not just so precious, and so strong? And I feel honored that she allowed me the opportunity to interview her. Today is August 1st. Today is marks 2 years since her daughter disappeared and is suspected to be foul play involved. And and so I am so grateful for you guys. And there we are. Tim, she spoke of Tim earlier, and I think he will be joining me. I'm going to need to get with him and make sure the dates work for him. But he's worked his butt off for this case, and a very nice man that's just gone out of his way to be a huge help to Miss Donna and her family. And I think I'll try to schedule that for, I'm thinking maybe like Friday, maybe Wednesday. It might be as soon as Wednesday or Friday. And then the following week will be when hopefully, me and Chaotic Beauty can collab again and do a deep dive, because she has a ton of information. And this, if you guys remember, this is her, she knew Jamie as well. And so, of like, she had asked me to do this for her on a live because she is on vacation, and it's hard for her to do. And I completely understand that. My friend, my aunt and my friend, their cases would be, I understand where she's coming from. When you personally know someone, you get really offended very easily, and it's very triggering. And then you feel like, at least for me, I feel like guilty about that, because her father, like Angie's father and daughters, suffered way more. And so yeah, I think that we did a good job tonight. We got all of the kinks worked out with the phone call. That seemed to work good. I hope you guys could hear it well. I know it's super hard to listen to an interview where there's an echo. And so that's why I really wanted to just try to get because she's a wealth of knowledge, and she's just one of the sweetest people. And so, I think it went really well, and I am happy with the work that we were able to do tonight, and hopefully getting justice for Jo Tate. And I so appreciate each and every one of you being here tonight. I really do. It means a lot to me, and I know that it really helped Miss Donna on one of the hardest days of her year, that being holidays, birthday, and the day that you lost your child. And so with that, yes, Shanda, she sure is. So yes, I just thank everyone for being here, and for those of you who donated, thank you so much. Oh, she's back. Let's see.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I can't hear you very well.
It's just not echoing.
My phone went dead, so I had to grab the other phone.
Gotcha. I figured that's what happened. We were just saying goodbye, actually.
Yes, I'm so sorry. I was just talking away. And I didn't realize it was this late.
I know.
I didn't realize it was this late either.
Yeah, 2 hours. We just got to going, girl. We just got going, and like we got through it. I mean, I think that when you watch it back,
I'm having trouble hearing you.
Oh, really?
On this one.
Is this better?
I was hearing you on the other one. Again, I'd like to thank everybody for the prayers, and I'm so sorry for my meltdown. I've just really struggled with it today, and I've kind of fought it and stayed busy all day, and I just had to get a little bit of it out.
Absolutely. And I'm glad that we can be here for you for today, and that you allowed us to be. And I so appreciate you. And this is not the end. We were going to do,
Okay, hold on. I'm going to have to get off here again. I'm so sorry. My grandson's up, and I'm going to have to take him physically, put him in bed.
Okay.
And I really should have taken my meds about 10 o'clock in my last evening shot. So I kind of probably should do that too. I have a tendency to get a little more emotional when I don't take them on time. Gotcha. And I still can't hear you, but I love you so much, Mel. Thank you for everything. And everyone out there, all your prayers. And God bless you all.
Thank you. Oh, she's so sweet. Yeah, I know, Truth. I don't want her to apologize either. I feel bad for posing that question. I had good intentions, but it doesn't matter at the end of the day. It was probably, I noticed that it was triggering for her, and I feel bad, and I'm sorry for that. And I am going to let everyone go and enjoy their late night evening. And I just, again, thank you all for being here. You're great. Thank you to the members of my channel, and thank you for my hair tips. I did I just got a trim, so it's still long, but I got some layering and yeah, just an overall good trim. So decided to go with leaving it long. You know, like as I get older, the more I'm like, I'm not going to be able to have this long hair for long. So might as well just keep it. Hey, Ricky, how are you? But I hope everyone has a great night, and I will talk to y'all later. Have a good one.